Hello everybody and welcome back. My name is Steve.
And I'm Ian.
And we've been talking about alternate campaign styles for our Downbelow role-playing game session, system and setting. Last time we talked about the agent setting, and we are going to be tossing that to Ian for the system side.
Your mission, if you choose to accept it, is to be the GM, and that means you need to know what the players are doing. So I mention the Mission Impossible line because that is actually the core thing you need to track for the agent,
Which is
the
their mission.
This is actually a progress track, a zero and goes up track. So you might actually do this a start at a certain number and go up, because it might be they could fail objectives and end up failing their mission as well. So if there are notable things that they could lose out on and end up failing the mission, go ahead and start them at some positive number, and if they reach zero, they've failed the mission.
This is where it's very important to get the player character buy-in, because if the players bought in to the mission, then the player is more likely to be acting towards it. One of the risks one runs when doing this is a lot of players like to have the cool perks and toys that come with the job and not actually have the responsibility that comes with the job.
If that is the case, then you might end up running a different campaign style than agent, even though one of the players is ostensibly an agent. But for the agent campaign style, you should be tracking success or failure on the mission, and the easiest way to do that is to have a track for failures moving closer towards negative infinity and reaching zero is bad. Successes on relevant tasks add positively to the track.
So what else do you need to track for agent? There's a couple of things.
Well, that core question for agent is our who are you question. Are you really a tool of your masters, or are you this person that you've become interacting with this Downbelow society? And the mechanical conceit for that is, what are you perceived as by your masters? Let's call that the reliability track. Positive reliability, you are perceived as a reliable and useful agent. Negative reliability, you are perceived as a liability. You are perceived as a risk, you are perceived as a loose cannon, and you might get cut off.
There's two ways this can come into play. The primary way is for crisis points and danger points. If you have a high reliability rating and a crisis point comes up, it's likely that at the very minimum, everything's just going to continue on as it is. You're going to keep getting support, you're going to keep getting feedback, and you're going to keep getting respected. But if a crisis comes along and you're not very well thought of because you have a very low reliability, you're flaky, and you're loose cannon,
you'll probably be considered expendable.
Similarly, there might be milestones defined by the GM. If you hit a negative 5 on your reliability tracker, that might actually prompt a special scene where you're approached about that. If you hit a positive 10, that might prompt a special scene where you're given more information and given another job.
Notably,
this is usually a pre-game prep thing for the GM, not an on-the-fly thing.
And notably, with these milestones, you should prepare to reset to a new zero each time you reach a reliability milestone. Because when you reach that milestone and you have a certain climactic event happen, you should reset to a new zero, as the assumptions about you as an agent will change. Your role will change with the organization at these times. So if you reach a negative reliability milestone, you're going to lose privileges, and they're not going to expect as much of you. If you reach a positive reliability milestone, you're going to have higher expectations, and things that wouldn't have lost you reliability before, well, now they will, because, man, we expected so much of you, and now we're disappointed.
If you don't feel like resetting it to a new zero, you can still keep going. Just remember that you can't necessarily get the same milestone bonus for passing the milestone multiple times. So,
which is why we recommend resetting to a new zero, so that you can have new milestones.
Exactly.
We recommend having one positive and one negative at a time, choosing those numbers based on what the role currently is. And the more trusted the role is, the less negative should be required to get a bad reliability milestone, whereas the more additional positive should be required to get the next positive reliability milestone,
Right.
and vice versa. If you are already considered to be a loose cannon, then you might be able to go to -10 before they fully cut you off, whereas getting all the way up to a +3 would really blow their socks off because they didn't expect that out of you.
So, is there anything else that the agent needs to primarily concern itself with tracking?
Not really. This is actually one where the tracks that the GM looks at for this campaign style behind the scenes are fewer than in other things, because it simplifies things greatly when you have a mission that you're going towards. There are a lot of complex resources that can be represented by that single abstract track. So let's talk about the type of characters. What the mission is and who it's being done for will determine the type of character that fits into this profile.
This goes along the way with what we said back in Enforcer about making sure that you have the right tools for the job out the gate. Unlike the Rebel, where it's very easy for you to develop those tools, what's actually most likely to happen with the agent is that they'll start with all the right tools and possibly move away from that to things they find personally more useful as the time goes on. But you will not find an inexperienced agent starting this game.
If you're doing an agents game for people who are not experienced with this setting or not experienced with this type of game, go ahead and give them pre-generated lists of traits, maybe letting them customize 1 or 2 traits, because agents tend to be stamped from a mold, because they tend to be trained to purpose.
Yep.
And don't feel bad about that. People can have a lot of fun just being given a toolkit and figuring out how to use it. So that's about it for how to run an agent game using the system. We'll introduce our fourth out of 6, because we introduced what campaign styles are the first time. Our 4th out of 6 campaign style next time, and until then,
Thanks for falling through the cracks with us.